AEW Fyter Fest, a two-night event beginning next Wednesday, July the 1st, and then continuing on July the 8th, 2020, live on national television on TNT. So for the next 2 weeks, instead of All Elite Wrestling AEW Dynamite, we will have Fyter Fest, the pay-per-view on TNT, July the 1st and 8th. I will have live reactions, play-by-play of nights 1 and 2 of AEW Fyter Fest right here on Gridiron Ring's YouTube channel, so be sure to tune in. Also, like, follow, and subscribe on social media. As always, links in the description below. Hit that thumbs up button, share on social media, chat questions and comments. Always greatly appreciated. Hope to see everybody now on July the 1st and 8th, respectively, for the next 2 Wednesday nights of AEW Fyter Fest, along with WWE NXT. As the WWE announced tonight, the Great American Bash will be making a return next Wednesday night on WWE NXT. So an NXT version of In Your House recently, now coming up next an NXT version in the WWE of the Great American Bash. Fyter Fest next 2 weeks as well, before we'll get WWE Extreme Rules on Sunday, July the 19th. I'll also have preview predictions for that, so keep an eye out for those, along with live reactions, play-by-play, live right here on YouTube for the new Extreme Rules in 2020. No more red and black themed logo for Extreme Rules, as they freshened it up with a new purple and yellowish green logo. Currently, the only matches announced, advertised for that pay-per-view that will be taking place in Orlando once again at the WWE Performance Center. Drew McIntyre will defend his WWE Championship versus Dolph Ziggler. There's history there. After McIntyre returned to the WWE, dropped his NXT Championship, main roster call-up, tag team with Dolph Ziggler for quite a while. He was a heel from then, which I believe was April of 2018, right after WrestleMania 34, if I'm not mistaken, until he turned face when he won the Royal Rumble this past year. So Drew McIntyre, Dolph Ziggler, WWE Championship match, along with Asuka defending against Sasha Banks, Raw Women's Championship on the line. But I'm here to talk about All Elite Wrestling AEW Fyter Fest for the first ever 2-night Fyter Fest event beginning next Wednesday, as mentioned, July the 1st, 2020, and then continuing the following week on July the 8th. As far as I know, both nights will in fact be live, but I did hear that the July 1st episode will be live, and then night 2 on the 8th will in fact already be pre-taped. So we'll see what happens there. AEW, though, they did announce what matches will be on night 1 versus what matches will be on night 2. It is sort of split down the middle because all championships are on the line. It's sort of their night/Clash of Champions pay-per-view. However, we do have some regular single matches along with a few tag team matches as well that very well could steal the show. Shaping up to be a damn good event beginning next Wednesday and then continuing on the following week on July the 8th once again. So we'll see what they have in store for us, but there are 11 matches, 10 technically on the card, along with, in quotes, Nyla Rose in action. So her to-be-determined opponent will more than likely than not be a jobber. They still need to figure out the women's division in my eyes. I get they've had injury as of late following the Double or Nothing pay-per-view at the end of May, Memorial Day weekend, with Britt Baker out of action with an injury, along with Chris Statlander now as well. So technically 10 matches on the card as of now, with Nyla Rose in action, and then Shida will defend her AEW Women's Championship as well against Penelope Ford. So 2 women's matches, a few singles, a few tag team, along with a few championship matches. Fyter Fest shaping up to be a damn good event next week. However, as mentioned, sort of split down the middle. It seems like they stack the July 8th episode compared to the July 1st episode with the magnitude of matches, as on the July 1st episode, night 1 of AEW Fyter Fest, Cody will defend against Jake Hager, TNT Championship will in fact be on the line. We'll also have Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page defend their AEW Tag Team Championships against Best Friends. Private Party, along with Matt Hardy, versus Santana and Ortiz. Shida, Penelope Ford. Jurassic Express versus MJF and Wardlow. And then the matches that are on night 2, that's when we'll get Jon Moxley and Brian Cage for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. Chris Jericho, Orange Cassidy. Mr. Brody Lee, Colt Cabana, and Stu Grayson. The Dark Order, even though Colt Cabana, Mr. Boom Boom, has not officially joined the Dark Order as of yet. They'll take on SCU, Frankie Kazarian, Christopher Daniels, and Scorpio Sky in a 6-man tag. Lance Archer, Joey Janela. That's when Nyla Rose will be in action as well, along with FTR, formerly known as the Revival in the WWE, along with the Young Bucks versus the Butcher and Blade and the returning Lucha Brothers in an 8-man tag. So it is sort of split down the middle, but it seems to me the better matches are on night 2. However, I still will have live reactions, play-by-play, of nights 1 and 2, both nights of AEW Fyter Fest. So be sure to tune in to watch those live reactions, play-by-play, live right here on YouTube. And as always, like, follow, and subscribe. Night 1 of AEW Fyter Fest will have 5 of the 11. The other 6 will be on night 2 the following week, July the 8th. WWE also announced an NXT version of the Great American Bash earlier tonight, as well as mentioned earlier. So next week, July the 1st, we'll have night 1 of AEW Fyter Fest along with WWE NXT Great American Bash. And then the following week, July the 8th, night 2 of AEW Fyter Fest with the other 6 matches, along with the winner-take-all NXT Championship, NXT North American Championship match with Adam Cole, Bebe, and Limitless Keith Lee. We'll start off with night 1 of Fyter Fest because those matches, unless they tape night 2 of Fyter Fest before they have night 1 live of Fyter Fest next week, those matches will in fact, at that point, come first. So, night 1 of Fyter Fest features Shida versus Penelope Ford, AEW Women's Championship on the line. Shida's going to retain this championship. She defeated Nyla Rose at Double or Nothing. Nyla Rose is going to win her squash match versus whoever the hell she's going to face at Fyter Fest in 2 weeks during night 2. And then, more likely than not, we'll get a Shida Nyla Rose rematch after Fyter Fest from then until All Out in August. And then at that point, that's when the rumors are that Britt Baker will in fact be cleared to return. So then Britt Baker, top women's heel in AEW, she should get a women's championship match. And then at that point, put the title on her and keep it on her. Santana and Ortiz will never, ever again get another invitation to a private party after Santana and Ortiz lose to Private Party during night 1 of Fyter Fest next week, July the 1st. Matt Hardy will be with Private Party. This, more than likely than not, as well, was probably going to be a 6-man tag. Tonight on AEW, it was supposed to be Sammy Guevara and Matt Hardy in singles. However, Guevara now suspended indefinitely from AEW. So it would have been Santana, Ortiz, Guevara versus Private Party and Matt Hardy in a 6-man tag. However, now just a tag team match with Matt Hardy in Private Party's corner. So all members of the Inner Circle in action. Santana and Ortiz in this tag team match. Jake Hager get a TNT Championship opportunity. Le Champion Chris Jericho up against Orange Cassidy. And now Guevara suspended indefinitely from All Elite Wrestling. Jurassic Express versus MJF and Wardlow. I would think sooner rather than later they're going to be breaking up MJF and Wardlow. But at the same time, I think they're going to be breaking up Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page, set up a singles match at All Out, potentially determine a future number 1 contender for either the AEW World Heavyweight Championship or the TNT Championship, depending on what route they would like to go at that point. MJF and Wardlow stood tall tonight on AEW Dynamite following the Lumberjack match that featured Luchasaurus and Wardlow. Jurassic Express will also pick up a win during night 1 of Fyter Fest next week as well. Another tag team match during night 1 of Fyter Fest, July the 1st. This will be for the AEW Tag Team Championships, though. It'll be Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page versus Best Friends. Best Friends, arguably, yes, one of the hottest tag teams in all Elite Wrestling. However, there are a lot of top-tier tag teams in AEW. And for the most part, we'll get to see all of them in action during Fyter Fest, whether it be night 1 or night 2. Best Friends with the win. Break up Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega. Have them feud from now until All Out, which is end of August, early September. Have a singles match then. Winner of that becomes a new number 1 contender for either the AEW World Heavyweight Championship or the TNT Championship that would be Full Gear, if I'm not mistaken, come November, unless they're going to do something in either late September or October. A lot of time from now until then, obviously, so we'll see what they do in the meantime, but Best Friends over Omega and Page at Fyter Fest. Cody will retain the TNT Championship over Jake Hager. This is formerly Cody Rhodes, Jack Swagger, Stardust, Jack Swagger in the WWE, of course. TNT Championship, though, in Cody's eyes, is his AEW World Heavyweight Championship. Because he could not challenge for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship ever again, he is now your TNT Champion after defeating Lance Archer at Double or Nothing. He's had a few title defenses since. However, this will in fact be his first championship title defense at a pay-per-view that'll be on TV. So Cody wins, depending on who wins a few of these other singles matches at Fyter Fest, or even some of the tag team matches that have some mixed tag teams, so to speak. Say Brody Lee, Colt Cabana. They're not really a tag team yet. MJF, Wardlow. Once again, I brought that up with Cody feuding with MJF, now defending the TNT Championship. Maybe even Orange Cassidy if he can defeat Chris Jericho. And I believe he will, and I'll get more into that match coming up shortly. So stay tuned. But then it goes back to Kenny Omega, Hangman Adam Page as well, as they've teased kicking Hangman Adam Page out of the Elite on being the Elite. They've recently kicked out some other former co-stars of the show, but then maybe even a rematch with Lance Archer. Brian Cage, I don't think he's going to defeat Jon Moxley. So there's options for Cody in the TNT Championship, but they need to figure out what they're doing with Jake Hager if he doesn't win the title. I don't think he will, so at that point they still need to figure out what they're going to do with him, because Hager in the Inner Circle, okay, well, it'd be best right now probably with Sammy Guevara suspended. Chris Jericho as of late putting talent over. I believe he'll put Orange Cassidy over. As mentioned, I believe Cassidy's going to defeat Le Champion at Fyter Fest. Maybe have Hager turn on Jericho and you have a little tension in the Inner Circle. Have Santana and Ortiz as your tag team, Jericho still as your leader, and then a feud with Jericho and Hager moving forward and put him over. And then if they feel like Hager's, destined for a TNT or AEW championship, okay. This will in fact be his second championship opportunity, though. Already losing to Jon Moxley on Dynamite, and I believe he'll also lose to Cody at Fyter Fest. The Murder Hawk Monster himself, Lance Archer, will do what his name says to Joey Janela at Fyter Fest to pick up the win. I honestly can't remember if ever Joey Janela has won a match in AEW, let alone on a pay-per-view. Lance Archer with the win over Joey Janela. I feel like this match is just on the card for the hell of it, as this, along with most of the matches actually, were just added tonight on AEW. So as mentioned earlier, we'll see what they have in store for us next week, but Lance Archer with the win over Joey Janela. Nyla Rose also going to win during night 2 against her opponent, whoever the hell that may be. We also have a 6-man tag with Mr. Brody Lee, along with Stu Grayson of the Dark Order, with Colt Cabana versus SCU, so Cal Uncensored. So Mr. Brody Lee, Colt Cabana, they'll feud, it seems like, down the road at some point. Dark Order versus SCU, Frankie Kazarian, Christopher Daniels, and Scorpio Sky. SCU with the win here. Something with Lee and Cabana will happen towards the end of the match, costing the Dark Order the win. So SCU victorious at Fyter Fest. It's good to see that Kazarian, Daniels, and Sky are all back together as a whole after everything everyone has been through the past few months or so. FTR, F the rest, the Young Bucks versus Butcher and Blade and the returning Lucha Brothers in a 8-man tag. FTR and the Young Bucks, FTR, Cash Wheeler, Dax Harwood, Dash Wilder, Scott Dawson, Revival in the WWE. FTR, F the rest, and the Young Bucks will win. They'll feud then after this, and with the loaded tag team division that AEW has, that match could be on any given night, on any given show. Butcher and Blade will take the pin as well. Lucha Brothers with the return of Pentagon and Rey Fenix. They'll push them back to the top, hopefully, maybe even put them up against Best Friends or Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page, whoever wins that AEW Tag Team Championship match. And then after Orange Cassidy defeats Le Champion Chris Jericho at Fyter Fest, Orange Cassidy will be orange juice boarding Le Champion Chris Jericho and forcing him to drink as much OJ as he possibly can. Instead of Le Champion drinking a little bit of the bubbly, Le Champion Chris Jericho is going to be drinking a little bit of orange juice. Orange Cassidy with the win over Chris Jericho. And then the main event of the evening, it'll be Jon Moxley defending his AEW World Heavyweight Championship against Brian Cage, who debuted at Double or Nothing, won the Casino ladder match, and is now cashing in his chips for a AEW World Heavyweight Championship match against the champion in Jon Moxley at Fyter Fest. As mentioned earlier, Moxley, no doubt about it, is going to win this. Cage then at that point could very well challenge Cody for the TNT title, or hell, put Brian Cage and Lance Archer together and have Taz and Jake the Snake Roberts manage that tag team. How about that? That would be awesome. Probably won't happen, but hey, just a thought. At that point then, too, Moxley retains. Who's going to be his next challenger? Who's going to be in line for an AEW World Heavyweight Championship match at All Out? Could very well be Chris Jericho, if they want to push him, now that the tag team of Jericho and Guevara are no more, with Sammy Guevara suspended. Omega and Page, number one contender there. I mean, you break up MJF and Wardlow. MJF goes to Cody. Wardlow goes to Moxley. Archer goes to Moxley. Maybe even a fatal 4, 5, 6-way at All Out for the championship. But that is the fun, exciting part about professional wrestling. Even though, yes, it is scripted to a point, you still don't know what the hell is going to happen. So we'll have to find out and see in the meantime what does in fact happen. We'll have Fyter Fest, WWE's NXT version of the Great American Bash, WWE Extreme Rules, SummerSlam, All Out, and then the fall will hit. Football season will in fact hopefully be back by that point. We'll have baseball, basketball, and hockey all restarting up within the next month as well. So it is a damn good time to be a professional wrestling fan, but on top of that, a sport fan in general. So thank you for tuning in and listening to my AEW Fyter Fest predictions. Let me know in the comments below what you thought. Like, follow, and subscribe on social media. As always, links in the description below. Be sure to tune in to AEW Fyter Fest live reactions. Night 1, July the 1st. Night 2, July the 8th. Flashback live reactions will start as well right here on YouTube, so keep an eye out for those. Along with Extreme Rules and SummerSlam preview predictions and live reactions play live right here on YouTube. Thanks for listening once again. Hope to see everybody next week for AEW Fyter Fest.